Hey guys, Mr. Zern here. Welcome back. Got another vocab lesson for you. Just two terms today. So the first is database. And as we get into the interview database app, we are shocker of the century going to use a database in App Inventor. It's under storage, and you'll see it's called TinyDB, which stands for database. All right. So what is a database? That is a storage space on a device used to store information from an app. Now, in the way App Inventor has this set up, the information, this database is stored on your tablet. It is not in the cloud somewhere, and it is not on your computer or your Chromebook, but in fact stored on the tablet. Sometimes when people are sharing tablets, especially when we have it over more than one period in the day, people later in the day will go and use the database or use the tablet, and they tell the program or the app to print the database, and other people's information shows up because that database is stored on there, and since it has the same name, it kind of pulls up that same information there. So storage space on a device used to store information from an app. Okay. Next, kind of along that, as we get into this database stuff, I want to talk about index. And so the index is the position of an item in a list. All right. So the index is the position of an item in a list. All right. And App Inventor typically numbers in a way that we're used to, like one, two, three, four, five. Python, which we'll be getting to in a few weeks, begins with the number zero. So instead of one is the first position. So if we looked at grapes and I said, hey, what is the index of grapes? In App Inventor, it would be one. And we're pretty used to thinking that way. However, a lot of computer languages, most in fact, Python no exception, grapes would have an index of zero. All right, so that always gets a little confusing the first couple of times for people because it seems pretty counterintuitive almost. So for example, if I said, "Hey, what is the index of apples in App Inventor?" you would say three. That's pretty easy. However, if I said, "What is the index of apples in?" if the language is Python, you would say two. All right. Interesting little story there to kind of add to that. So, when Apple was forming as a company, Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, the co founders, were forming the company, and along comes Ron Wayne. He's kind of the financial backing guy. And as they're filling out all the the paperwork and everything, Ron says, "Hey, who's going to be employee number one?" Wozniak, how about you? You want to be employee one? And Steve Jobs immediately like, "No, no, I'm employee number one. I have to be number one." He says, "No, wait." I'm employee zero, because again, in programming, zero would be it would be the actual first employee. And so, yes, he's like, Wozniak can be one, I'm zero. And Wozniak could care less, and he was like, well, whatever, Steve. And they did that. So, basically, the position of an item in a list. All right. And so in App Inventor, the first one starts with one, and in Python, the next it starts with zero. All right, guys, that's it for today, and I'll talk to you later.